Good morning, traders. I'm Emily Advani, the CEO of the Investment Banking Institute and your host here at NewsWare's Trade Talk. Joining me is trading anchor Bill Olson, who brings more than 30 years of institutional trading experience to our program. At Trade Talk, we provide the facts, themes, and trading ideas for the day ahead. Today is Tuesday, January 14th. We are coming off a mixed start to the week after the Dow and the S&P 500 advanced yesterday, but the NASDAQ closed in the red, even as yields remained elevated, along with fears of higher rates for longer. The Dow climbed 358 points, or 0.86%. The S&P 500 eked out a gain of 9 points, or 0.16%. The NASDAQ tried to claw back from early session lows, but still ended off 73 points, or 0.38%. Bill, let's get into today's action with what is happening in the markets this morning.
Yes, good morning, Emily. I'm watching the S&Ps. We're actually trading higher by 0.22% on the S&Ps this morning, which is positive. I mean, the gains were at 0.42%, so we've actually pulled back a little bit. There's caution right now because you have the PPI, the Producer Price Index data, coming out soon. And when that's released, that could cause a little weakness in the market. But overall, the sentiment is kind of bullish. So I do like to see this. But I do expect a little, weakness, to occur around the PPI report. There are a number of key developments going on. I mean, the bond yields are kind of weakening due to a report that President-elect Trump is, create a cautious and slow approach to implementing tariffs because he wants to avoid an inflation spike. That's positive news, and that's the key factor for the market today, really. But the market is going to be paying close attention to the PPI report when it comes out before the opening bell this morning. Then, you look at what happened over in China. Chinese regulators announced plans to collaborate with the PBOC to enhance their effectiveness of their monetary policy tools to support the markets. That's positive. That causes, a lot of these Asian markets to, show some strong gains overnight. And then you have Isreal and Hamas. They're said to be close to a ceasefire agreement. It's not going to affect the markets. They've been talking about being close to a ceasefire agreement for a long time, but it does appear that it's close. We did have some earnings reports. KBH, delivered a good report yesterday after the bell, and the big banks are scheduled to start reporting a fourth quarter earnings tomorrow. Also on the calendar for today, Defense Secretary nominee Pete Hegseth, his confirmation hearing starts this morning with the Senate Armed Services Committee. It's it'll be watched. It'll be interesting, but he's one of these guys that may not get confirmed. So there's going to be, some, it's going to be kind of sensationalized hearing, I'm sure. And then we're taking a look at the overseas markets, and we're starting off with the DAX. I mean, the DAX is up about 0.8% or 159 points. We're seeing some gains in the auto stocks this morning. The FTSE, on the other hand, that's down 0.06%. It's underperforming as compared to the European indices, and mainly, because you're seeing weakness in the oil sector, which is kind of, hurting the FTSE this morning. But the CAC, on the other hand, is up 0.9% or 66 points. And we're seeing the financial stocks move higher. So, that's positive. And then we're taking a look at Asia last night. And, the Nikkei did open up. Remember, it was closed yesterday, and it fell 716 points or 1.83%. They got an issue here. There's a Bank of Japan meeting next week. Bond yields are rising across the curve. There's some concern with their currency in Japan. And then, but you look at the Hong Kong, that actually jumped 1.83% or 345 points. The Shanghai in China jumped 80 points or 2.54%, because realistically, China's top security regulator, the China Security Regulatory Commission, announced plans to collaborate with the PBOC. And that's, that they're going to try and work together to strengthen the monetary policy. So that's actually positive news. And when I was reading more and more into it, it was like, wow, this is good news. So yeah, I'm not surprised that those markets turned around, and as a result, we're seeing gains in these Chinese retailers this morning. Then we're taking a look at oil this morning because oil has finally broke. We're seeing oil starting to trade lower. WTI is at $78.30 a barrel. Brent is at $80.41 a barrel. I mean, it had a 3-day surge in oil prices. So it was due for a break. And, today, after the close, you get the stockpiles data. And tomorrow morning, I believe that OPEC monthly report is due out. So, these are two factors that the market will be paying attention to. But that's what I have for you in terms of a morning market update report, Emily.
Bill, amongst all of that information, you mentioned both economic reports and earnings action, and we're going to dive into the details here so that we can get full rundown of those market moving reports. We will start with earnings action. It will start to heat up as we get through the week. So, Bill, what is going on in terms of earnings?
Well, you got to start out with KB Homes, ticker KBH, Kilo Boy Henry. Stocks up 10%. I mean, they delivered a beat of 8 cents on higher revenues. Good report. Things look rosy for KBH. And then upcoming, tomorrow morning is really the key. It was really the kickoff. I mean, you got Bank of New York, ticker BK, coming out with their earnings. Their EPS is at $1.53. Expected move is 4.3%. Then you also have Citigroup, ticker C is in Charlie. Their EPS is at $1.23. Their expected move is 4.21%. Then you got JP Morgan, ticker JPM, John Paul Mary, EPS $3.99, expected move 3.83%. So a lot of good earnings upcoming, Emily.
And we'll be following all of that right here on NewsWare's Trade Talk. And you're keeping track of all of that using your NewsWare. You're also keeping track of economic reports, inflation reports throughout this week, with the first one due out today. Investors will be gathering that information along with some Fed speak as we try to get clues on what the Fed may be doing in 2025. So, Bill, what is going on in terms of economic events?
Okay, you got two events going on today. You get the PPI report, producer price index for final demand for December, coming out at 8:30 a.m. And you get the API oil stockpile estimates coming out at 4:30 p.m. You got a little Fed speak going on this morning. Kansas City Fed Bank President Jeffrey Schmidt, he's scheduled to speak this morning. And he's going to be talking at 10 a.m. And he's expected to provide comments on economic and monetary policy. And then New York Fed Bank President John Williams, he's going to be giving opening remarks at the fourth annual An Economy that Works for All event that's happening today. Schmidt's comments are going to be more important, but today, really, it's about the PPI. Tomorrow, we get the CPI, which is, these are inflationary reports. And I got to tell you, you can tell from what the market's doing. I mean, the market's pulled back from being up, 0.42 to being up 0.18 because of this PPI report. And it is supposed to run a little hot. Expectations for the year-over-year figures, both the headline and the core, to be slightly under inflationary pressure due to the anticipated increase in the PPI. So we got to be careful about that. That's going to cause a little weakness, but I think it'll be temporary. I don't think it's going to hold stocks back today. The CPI tomorrow is going to be more important. But that's what I have for you in terms of an economic update this morning, Emily.
Bill, as that data comes out, you'll be able to see it right away because you have your NewsWare alerts set up for those economic reports. And market moving reports like this, it's important to stay on top of it rather than waiting for the major news outlets to re-report it. You're getting the professional newswire, so you're able to make quick decisions on the trading day. The other types of information, data, and headlines you're looking at using your NewsWare this morning, as you do every morning, are things like merger news, guidance news, shareholder meetings. You're also looking at your stocks grouped together, like your FANG stocks and your Dow 30 stocks. So, Bill, what else do you see is possibly moving the markets today?
I'm just doing a quick data check this morning. I'm looking at my Dow stocks. I got 6 trading lower, 24 trading higher. That's positive. I'm looking at my FANG stocks. We're seeing mixed action there this morning, but I am kind of positive on it. I mean, you take a look at some of the news items behind the tape, like Apple. They're introduced new fees for app developers. I mean, these new fees are drawing scrutiny from EU regulators. Apple's trading flat on the day. Amazon, the stock's trading up this morning. Teladoc and Amazon's health benefits connector for cardiometabolic programs. This was the deal that was announced this morning. Google, on the other hand, showing a little weakness. UK regulators are probing Google over its search services. And Meta also showing some weakness this morning. Supreme Court rejected to hear a bid by Meta to avoid a multi-billion-dollar class action lawsuit by advertisers, which is claiming that the company overcharged them by inflating the number of people that might be able to see their ads. And, that's not really good for a company like Meta. And then you have Tesla. Okay, Tesla is showing a gain this morning. TikTok, there's these news reports that Musk is going to wind up with TikTok, but there's a news report that TikTok has denied a report that China is looking at a potentially facilitating the sale of the TikTok app to Elon Musk, and then the TikTok company is calling it pure fiction. So you got to sell that news. I don't really think that's a real benefit for Tesla this morning. Then we're looking at the Dow Jones 30 stocks, and we got to talk NVIDIA. Shipments for the Blackwell chips are said to be delayed due to overheating issues in the chip. But NVIDIA is showing some gain of over 1% this morning. Honeywell, ticker HON, Henry Oscar Nancy, they're set to break up amid urging from activist Elliott investors. In terms of merger news, United Rentals, URI, Uncle Richard India, they agreed to acquire H&E Rentals for $92 a share in a $4.8 billion deal. In terms of guidance news, KB Homes, they see full year 2025 revenue coming in $7 to $7.5 billion. Street estimate $7.33 billion. In the middle, that's positive. Shareholders news going on. Well, I just want to point out that JP Morgan conference is continuing today. You got Eli Fisher, you got Eli Lilly, you got Thermo Fisher, you got Edward Life Sciences. They're all presenting today. You got to keep an eye on them for some press releases that might come out this morning. And that's what I have for you in terms of news hitting the tape this morning, Emily.
This is the type of data that NewsWare delivers daily. It's factual, it's market moving, and our alerting functions bring it to your attention as it happens. Go to www.newsware.com now and sign up for the trial and see for yourself the benefits that professional Newswire delivers. We've now made it to that time of the show for the Trade Talk pick of the day. Bill, it is pre-market. We're awaiting a key inflation report. The markets have been topsy-turvy, so you're trying to look for something that you could see opportunity in today. What is your pick of the day today?
Going with Amazon, AMZN, Apple, Michael, Zebra, Nancy. I mean, here's the key. President Biden signed an executive order this morning aimed at accelerating the development of AI infrastructure in the U.S. His order, focuses on facilitating the rapid development of construction of large-scale data centers. This is right up Amazon's alley. Amazon, you're going to see weakness in the stock going into the PPI report. That's to be expected. It's expected to run hot, so that's going to cause stocks to, sell off some of the pre-market gains. Okay, this is kind of an opportunity here because, if the inflation isn't as hot as what is expected, the market's just going to run. But it could fall off a little bit. So, the idea is you buy a little here and you buy a little after the report. And you only buy a little after the report if the stock goes down further. You just got to time that trade a little bit. But you look at yesterday's call volume on Amazon, you had 249,463 calls traded versus 113,596 calls. I mean, that's more than 2 to 1. Open interest, 2,110,069 versus 1,895,379. That's that's still positive. I mean, that's good to see. Major brokers love the stock. They keep raising price targets. They keep calling it a winner. You got to like that. I'm trying to get in under 219. I want to get in, to Amazon at under 219, and I'm hoping to be able to get in there, before, at that level. But that's my pick of the day. Amazon.com, ticker AMZN, Apple, Michael, Zebra, Nancy, Emily.
Amazon it is, and not being scared of any weakness there, hoping for a discount to get a gain. And coming up, we will do a recap on yesterday's pick of the day to see how that one went. But first, let's take a look at the current breaking headlines that fit the tape in our Hot Off the Press segment. Bill, take it away.
DFA, Boy Frank Apple, Brown Foreman to reduce workforce by 12%, closing the Louisville facility. Live One, ticker LVO, Larry Victor Oscar partnership with Tesla exceeds 500,000 users. Signet Jewelers, ticker SIG, the CEOs have this is kind of interesting to me because Signet Jewelers, their CEO and their CFO they're going to be participating in some sort of fireside chat this afternoon at 2:30 p.m. But they came out and they lowered their guidance this morning, their Q4 guidance, and the stock's fallen. It's down 16% this morning. SIG, Sam India Grace. Hormel Foods, ticker HRL, Henry Richard Larry. Their CEO, their chairman and CEO, James Sneed, is set to retire, but he's going to retire at the end of the year. So it's not imminent. Allstate and other insurers are sued by the Texas Attorney General for unlawfully collecting driver data. Ticker ALL, Apple, Larry. Teladoc's up big after signing that collaboration agreement with Amazon. I mean, I saw this one late last night. Starbucks is rolling out a new code of conduct for stores. Saying they're going to require cafe users to be paying customers. That's all I'm seeing this morning.
Okay, Bill, before we get to trading on this Tuesday, let's do a check-in on yesterday's pick of the day, which was Travelers Group. Now, yesterday, stocks like Allstate, Travelers, they did bounce back despite, the ongoing fire risk in LA. And, earlier in the morning, people were saying that possibly that sell-off was an overreaction. It's sort of been mixed here, given the ongoing crisis. But you had a feeling it was going to be weak in the morning, that there would be a gain as the day went on. So, Bill, how did your call work out?
I mean, it worked out. I mean, if you look at it, the stock opened up at 230 and 95 cents, then ran and hit a high at $234.57. That's more than the 1%. It closed at 233.33 again. That's positive. But, I was expected a little more weakness in the morning, which, it did open up weak, but it didn't, fall as much as I wanted. So I didn't do any, thing really there. I was just waiting for, I was waiting for a price around, 227, and it never came close to that, but it did bounce right off that opening price. So, that was a positive move on the stock price. It did finish higher as we suspected. TRV. Tom Richard Victor did deliver a gain yesterday, Emily.
There was a chance for a gain there. We will call that one a win, and we will check with you tomorrow about today's Amazon pick of the day. Bill, thank you as always for your expert insight. Join us back here tomorrow and each weekday morning at NewsWare's Trade Talk when we provide the facts, themes, and trading ideas for the day ahead. Again, I'm your host, Emily Advani, here with trading anchor Bill Olson. Traders, you know what to do. Let's go out there and make some green.